Hello everyone, and thanks so much for logging on to CBSDenver.com alongside Mark Haas. I am Michael Spencer inside the Broncos locker room after a 2017 loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. And Mark, this is a football team that at one point was 3-1. They're now 3-7, having lost their last 6 football games.
First 6-game losing streak since 1990, the first time since 1975 that they lost to the Bengals here at home. I mean, it just keeps getting worse and worse for the Denver Broncos. And on Friday night, John Elway said that the team has gotten soft. So obviously a lot of reaction in here tonight. Vance Joseph did bring it up to the team, and I think that the general reaction was that they weren't happy to be called soft by John Elway, but when you lose 6 games in a row, they also realized that they can't really argue with it.
Yeah, I would say there were some mixed reactions. I heard Chris Harris say there's not a soft bone in my body. He also said that everyone in this organization is responsible for what has happened this season. I know Brandon Marshall took exception to the comments that John Elway said. On the other side, Doma Tapeko said, hey, look, I think when you've lost 5 straight games, which at that point they had, he had a right to call us soft. So certainly a mixed reaction. The guys never want to admit to being soft, but I think they understand what their general manager was trying to get to with those comments.
And, there was kind of a thought that if the Broncos could win today, maybe, just maybe, you could, with the schedule coming up, make a run. But you lose at home to the Bengals, 3-7 in last place. I mean, really the hope for this season kind of went down the drain today, whatever hope was left. And so now I think the big question becomes, will we see Paxton Lynch next week in Oakland against the Raiders? Because Brock Osweiler today, let's be honest, he didn't do anything to show that he deserves, to be a long-term starter for this team.
No, and I think the Broncos had 2 really critical turnovers, and the first one was that Brock interception that he threw in the end zone, and then Cincinnati took it back and scored just a few plays later, and that was a moment where the defense went out, had a good defensive drive, blocked a punt, and then the offense turned the ball right over, and you can't have those type of things. Obviously, the other turnover was the C.J. Anderson fumble, which led to an A.J. Green touchdown. C.J. essentially inconsolable at his locker, tears in his eyes, taking responsibility for that and really for the game. Turnovers have been a big problem, and it reared their ugly head again on Sunday.
And guys also mentioned kind of the lack of energy in the stadium today, that they can feel that the Broncos fans have kind of lost hope in this season as well. It's just not a place these guys were expecting to be in.
Yeah, certainly not a place this franchise is used to being in as well. Again, the final score from Sunday afternoon at Mile High, Cincinnati 20, Denver 17, as the Broncos fall to 3-7 and have now lost 6 straight games. From Mark Haas, I'm Michael Spencer. Thanks so much for logging on to CBSDenver.com.